What is happening, Internet? Sorry for the late start, but Nintendo just shadow dropped Fire Emblem, and of course I'm going to look at it. But please keep in mind, this is not a series. Phaland is taking a night off. I was looking forward to Phaland. Nintendo literally shadow dropped this, okay? This is a big, sploosh. At first, they dropped it on the Japanese eShop, but because I have the Japanese eShop, I was like, oh. And I have some other countries. And then it showed up in North America, and I'm like, yo. So, yeah, we're going to do the North American version. Fire Emblem Path of Radiance was one of my favorite Fire Emblem games. I did a review of it a long time ago as a write-up for GotGame.com and GameZone. No longer around, but I gave the game pretty high marks. I had enjoyed real-time strategy games in the past, like Ogre Battle 64 and like Warcraft and things like that. And Fire Emblem was a very different type of strategy game, way different than Shining Force and all that other stuff. Because we didn't have, in the 90s, Fire Emblem did not exist outside of Japan. So Shining Force was pretty much it when it came to that type of RPG real-time strategy thing. And I don't remember because I'm old, but I think after Smash Brothers Melee, when Marth was introduced to Western audiences, either the Game Boy Advance or the GameCube was the first North American release of Fire Emblem. I'm leaning more towards the Game Boy Advance, but I didn't do a Game Boy Advance review for my work. I did the GameCube one. I did a review of Path of Radiance, and then I did the Wii game. Following several years later on Wii. I think it was like 2007 is when the Wii game came out. 2007, 2008. So I was still actually working as a member of the press back then. I retired, or rather I quit, or I left the game industry in 2014. Right around January of 2014. So technically I did 4 years. Or, not 4 years. 10 years. 2004, 2014. But again, people are like, well, why did you do the YouTube thing? Playing games with my wife was way more fun than having some guy from California and Florida yell at me about deadlines. Sitting on the couch, playing the games, like, all the way through and just, like, playing, like, hurriedly, when you have to rush and get your deadlines done and stuff, and I was writing, like, I did about 200 write-ups. Okay, that sounds like I was writing people up, but I did 200 written reviews, and then for fun on my YouTube channel, to help with my, like, resume, I did 85 video reviews for NES, Super Nintendo, Wii, GameCube, PS3, and I don't think I ever did a PC one. Maybe I did, I don't remember. But video reviews was my way of, being like, hey, look at this. I'm awesome, you like my format, hire me, and I will do write-ups like this. And that's exactly what the YouTube channel was used for. It was to get me better jobs, better writing opportunities, things like that. And it was a lot of fun, but the pay was terrible.
We might have to cancel New Year's at Wayne Manor. It's going to take a while for the city to recover from tonight.
Absolutely not, sir.
I didn't realize the party meant so much to you.
It doesn't. Only, it's one of the rare times you actually seem to enjoy yourself.
I enjoy myself plenty, Alfred.
I hope you're lying. For both our sakes.
You don't need a video to how to update your game. Like, just your Switch 2 should update for you. Fire Emblem is not available on Nintendo Switch. GameCube Classics is only available on Switch 2. It's an exclusive. You have to have the Switch 2 in order to play the GameCube games. I hope people realize this. When Nintendo says they're releasing something on Switch, now when they talk about Switch, they mean Switch 2. So you guys are in like the Wii U Wii era. Like with the way that they communicate things. You have to look for the branding of Switch 2, because when Nintendo talks about shadow dropping things on Switch, they mean Switch 2, even though it's, it is what it is. But it's very exciting. So yeah, I would show you right now, but I don't want to mess up Steam Deck. I don't like switching systems unless the stream is over. Does that make sense? You just have to take me at my word that no Phaland tonight. Phaland will be tomorrow. Because yes, we're going to continue. I love the indie game. It's a lot of fun to work with. I'm having a blast making thumbnails, even though people are like, AI. It's cool, though, because I can put Zelda in any type of predicament I want. I can have her eating a stick or a thing. Yeah, I could have her eat a stick if I wanted to. I could type, Zelda eats stick, and put that as a thumbnail. Tree branch. Zelda chewing on tree branch.
Gnaws on some bark.
Gnaws on bark with foam out mouth. Yes, I could. I could write that. But no, I write things like Zelda swimming underwater. Zelda wielding a dagger. Zelda opening a treasure chest. That kind of stuff. And here's the funny thing. Generative AI is smarter than humans because I type Zelda, and every time I type Zelda in that program, it's always Zelda. It's never Link. Not one thumbnail that I made had Link when I typed Zelda. It was always Zelda. It was always a woman. Every single time. It's like AI knew. You going to bed, sweetie? I love you very much. Don't forget to take your stuff, okay? Okay. I will clean the kitchen later. While Fire Emblem is booting up, I'm going to do a load of dishes. You're very welcome. Thank you for cooking the fish. It was delish. I feel like I have more energico because I had fish. And the reason I like fish so much is I'm Portuguese. So, Portuguese people eat a lot of fish. But I don't like Portuguese recipes of fish. I had basic fish. It was good. I had not three slices. I had 3 things of fish. Good hearty pieces of fish. Mmm. With some green beans and some potatoes. And then I washed it down with some cranberry juice. Did I review the first Dark Souls game when it came out? I reviewed Dark Souls, Bloodborne. Oh, wait, did I do Bloodborne? Let me see. I have to see the release dates. One sec. Link is probably in the office, honey. If you see his little orange eyes. I opened the office door because I didn't want the smoke alarms to go off.
Alright, I'm gonna leave the office door open then.
Yeah, I'm sure he's in there. Yes. I did a write-up of Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 2. I think Dark Souls 2 was like one of the last games that I did as a member of the press. Yes. I do remember doing... Because I was still like... I left Game Zone in January of 2014. I was with Got Game until the end of the year of 2014, but as like a... They were training my replacement, and they were wicked lazy. So in 2014, Got Game got me into New York City to go to the Namco press event, where they unveiled Dark Souls 2. Or they had a Dark Souls 2 gameplay thingy. I forget what they called it, a playtest. I don't remember. But I attended that thing in New York City. Dark Souls 2 was one of the last write-ups that I did for Got Game. So yes, I did do Dark Souls 2. And if I remember correctly, Dark Souls 2 was the T-rated game. And then they went back to being M-rated. I have a squishy ball that I got from the press event. That's a skull that the Dark Souls developers told me was good for stress relief. And they gave it out to press. They said, you'll need this after playing our game. And I was like, psh, I've played Dark Souls 1. And they're like, oh, okay, you play first. I'm like, what? So they put me on the spot, and I had to go up, and I had to play in front of everybody, and I did great. Then I was like, wait, Dark Souls 2 feels a little easier. They said, well, it's T-rated, but they said, watch out! Then I got attacked by this big boss, and the demo ended. I was like, oh. And they're like, see? They said, anyone else want to brave the game? But that was funny. That's why sometimes, if you're in like a big press group, you know, you have to be very careful if other people aren't talking, because sometimes you have to put your money where the mouth is. So... They were trying to embarrass me that I didn't know how to play Dark Souls, which I did. But I had to be the first victim of the new demo, which was fun. But, you know, maybe they did it to embarrass me. Maybe they'd be like, oh, you Souls player, okay, prove it. And immediately, like, everybody else who played wasn't rolling around from the boss. I was doing roly-poly. And the developers were like, nice! Their translator was like, they said, you're pretty good. So, but of course that demo was brutal, by the way. So, but yeah, I got a a special Dark Souls 2 squishy ball that I don't use for stress, though. I have it up on my top of my shelf next to my Mega Buster. There's like this weird like skull thing that says Dark Souls on it. I don't know if I did Bloodborne, though. I don't know if I did the review of Bloodborne. I have to see what year Bloodborne came out. No. No, I did not do a write-up for Bloodborne. Dark Souls 2 was the last one. Souls 2. Bloodborne was right around the time Arkham Knight came out. I did play Bloodborne. I played it on the same streaming site that I was streaming Arkham Knight all the time. Streaming site called... What was the name of that thing? Hotbox? Hitbox? One or the other. I don't remember. It was a streaming company that my friend worked at or something. I don't even remember how I became a YouTube partner. Or, not a YouTube partner over there. I was a partner over there. Because I wouldn't stream without making money. I just don't remember who owned Hotbox, or Hitbox, or whatever it was called. But I was over on that streaming site a lot in 2015 and 2014. But I was mostly part-time by 2014 rolled around because I was very busy with our YouTube channel. I just stayed on as a favor to Steve Masters so he could find, you know, a more active journalist. Especially in the East Coast area, like somebody who'd be willing to travel and stuff like that. And the last time I talked to him would probably be the spring of 2014. When, I think it was like 2019, Got Game closed its doors. Like, they sold their website. And then I had a friend of mine, the guy who replaced me, my replacement, told me that Got Game was closing and that Steve was going to retire and he was selling the gotgame.com, like, brand or whatever. And some, like, gambling site bought them out. So, like, all my work, everything I ever did for Steve Masters that was on the internet. They say the internet is forever, but I very much doubt that anybody has, like, all my write-ups. And that makes me sad, because I put a lot of work into that stuff, you know? I wrote for, like, a decade, and I only have like a couple of my written reviews left that I have archived like myself. Out of the 200 things that I wrote, I only have like maybe 30 written reviews still, and I have like 10 emails where I just like copy and pasted and I sent the email directly to my boss for proofreading and for structuring and to put on the website. Most of the stuff was uploaded to the website. It's gone forever. Which sucks. But, I mean, that's what happens. I still have my video reviews archived that I did for Got Game, but I didn't make that many video reviews for them. Does anybody remember my time with Got Game? Hey, Got Gamers! It's time for another video review on GotGame.com. Anybody remember those years? The early years? What happened to IGN? IGN went cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. What do you mean, what happened to IGN? IGN got infected with cancer. There's no difference anymore between the tabloids, Kotaku, and The Gamer and IGN. IGN still has some good people there, but the guy who I was looking for a job there is leaving IGN. So I'm gonna go where he goes. If I end up doing like written reviews again, like game stuff, I'm gonna go to whatever website he goes to because he's one of the good ones. He's one of the goats. He's a very fine journalist who's been around for like 20 years. He's a really good guy. I thought he was gonna stay at IGN, but he told me he's leaving at the end of the year. He can't deal with it anymore. IGN is a shell of its former self. It's sad, but it's true. So he's gonna go. He's gonna start up probably his own website or something. I don't know. Or maybe he'll do like a YouTube channel. I don't know. Whatever he does, I'm gonna support him. He's one of the good ones, so. I like to support good people. I like, you know, to support people that work hard and, you know, they have respect for the game industry. They know what it is to do a game review. A game review is about the good and bad of a video game. What makes the game tick? Like, things gamers care about. Performance, graphics, gameplay, replay value, DLC, story, that kind of stuff. Unfortunately, IGN and I don't even want to say the gamer, but IGN is caught up in, you know, the progressive times of today where they make articles complaining about stuff that isn't in the game, like, you know, DEI and accessibility. And when I mean accessibility, I'm not talking about like, oh, I'm colorblind, I can't see very well. Accessibility in the sense that they tone down the difficulty, they, you know, add certain qualities to the game that annoy people, and they make that the priority. That type of accessibility. It's not the other stuff. Nani? Is this what I think it is? Oh, good. Wait. Nani? Wait. Really? That was it? Ha 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 ha! Hooray! That was really easy. Ha! Okay. I'll take that one. Thank you. All right. Let's go. That works. No. There was somebody who called me the Bruce Campbell. I don't know how that stuck. This guy I worked in Florida called me the Bruce Campbell of video games, or like game reviews. And he was saying, I always took that as kind of an insult though, because like Bruce Campbell's like a B actor, and my reviews were good enough to get me hired at IGN. Like my video reviews is what got me hired. I have no degree. Okay? If IGN back in the day, we're talking good IGN, like PS3, Wii U, Xbox 360 era. If they thought my video reviews were good enough to work for them, that means my video reviews were not the Bruce Campbell of game reviews. Okay? I got many jobs because of my game reviews. My game reviews were peak. Good quality stuff. Better than IGN at the time, that IGN actually wanted to hire me to get rid of me as competition. That's why I was getting hired at IGN. They wanted me to work for them. And then Maker Studios ruined all that. But the reason why I got hired with the IGN Start team, which was the IGN YouTube channel, they saw my video reviews like around, I think it was like, what year was that? Was it 2012? It's either 2012, 2011. They saw my game reviews and they approached me. I still have the email. They contacted me and they said, hey, we would really like you to come and be a part of our IGN team. You know, we heard your contract is ending with Maker Studios. We want to give you an offer. And I'm like, I can work with IGN? And they said, have you always wanted to work with us? I said, yeah. It's been my dream to write for IGN. I grew up with the IGN Nintendo team. I was stoked. And then Maker Studios found out about it, and they held me to contract, and everything fell apart. But I was hired by IGN. I signed the contract, and they were going to have me start like in the fall of 2011 or 2012. Like I was going to be part of the brand new IGN Start team, which was a YouTube channel that didn't last very long because they didn't have very good leadership. So I was going to be a part of that. It was like the Maker Studios of like gaming stuff, but like, you know, a corporation, not like a bunch of YouTubers calling the shots. Because Maker Studios was owned by Philip DeFrank. What was his name? Phil, the news guy, Justine, Shay Carl, and the guy with the weird black hair that was spiky that would do current event stuff. I can't remember his name. Ray William Johnson? I don't remember. There were 4 people that owned Maker Studios, and it was made by YouTubers for YouTubers, and they made their own network that dealt with video games, skits, current events, news, and whatever. And the Game Station was a branch of Maker Studios. That's where Completionist, Peanut Butter Gamer, that's where we all were. Angry Joe, we were all part of Maker Studios. That's how all of us got our YouTube partnerships, was through Maker Studios. That's where it began. So IGN wanted to make their own YouTube channel hub world called Start, and I was going to be one of their gaming people. And they were hiring me based on my work, my video reviews. Because my video reviews, if you go back and you watch them, especially my, like, you know, PS3 and Wii and stuff like that, they were really good. Very good. Good structure, good, good outcome, good research, good energy, all kinds of stuff. Way better than IGN's reviews and game trailers. That's how I got hired. But Maker Studios found out about it, and then they held me to contract. They blacklisted me. They did all kinds of nasty things to me, and then, it was bad. IGN, they threatened IGN with a lawsuit. They didn't want me to go because we found out later on that Maker Studios, aka Polaris and the Game Station, were using our channel as a incentive, as a bonus. So they were siphoning our income for 2 years, and we never knew. Like, we really thought that we were only making about $800 a month as YouTube partners, and Amber and I were pretty stoked about it because Amber's job paid for the other bit, and my, the Let's Play channel and the O1 channel paid for rent. But we were barely making $1,000 a month, like, back then. And we didn't realize that the money was being taken from our account and it was given to other YouTubers as, like, bonus. Like, some YouTubers on Game Station would get, like, what was known as holiday bonuses and other things. We never did. But our channel was making so much money because you have to remember, we had, like, our first year of activity on Kwingsletsplays, we had 9 viral videos. 9 of them. And they were all in the million and up club. And back then, if you had a video that got 1 million views really fast, you were making thousands of dollars. But our payout was only about $800 a month for the Let's Play channel back then. Like, the Let's Play channel, thankfully, was only with Maker Studios for 1 year. We got out of that contract. And when we got our actual first paycheck, and we saw how much we were actually making, like, Amber and I were just completely shocked. Because we never saw that money. So they were taking, like, a huge... So, I mean, the reason why they tried to sue me to leave to go to IGN is because they didn't want us to go because they were using us. They were using our income to fatten the wallets of other YouTubers. Which is totally illegal, by the way. But, we tried to fight them on that. They had bigger lawyers than us, so we just, we got out of our contract. I did try to sue them, by the way. I tried to sue Maker Studios when I found out they were siphoning our income. I got a lawyer and everything. Everything was super expensive. We weren't able to follow through with it, and we just pressured them to get us out of our contract, and we went with another YouTube company. And that YouTube company paid us what we deserved, and that was awesome. But, my IGN door was forever closed. I kept in contact with my friend at IGN about an opportunity to work for them, but, whenever he would bring it up, I'd be like, well, I mean, I don't have time. I can't really get away from the Let's Play channel, and I can't get away from the Batman channel because of this and that and the other. And he's like, well, just keep your options open. He says, maybe someday you'll actually get to work for us. It's like, yeah, totally. So, when things started to get really bad on YouTube and we got shadow banned, I reached out to him, and he was like, things are really bad right now. You don't want to come here. He says, no offense, he says, you'll probably be fired in a week. He says, you're very vocal. He says, a lot of us are keeping our heads down because things are happening at IGN. And what he was talking about was the invasion of woke stuff. So he was there the entire time, keeping his head down, because he's a family man. And he always told me to keep my options open. Like, someday, he says, we'll get to work together and all this other stuff. I'm like, okay. And then he calls me out of the blue now, because I've been looking for work. Things have been changing in the game industry. I have my resume out there again under my real name. And I'm, contacting places looking for writing gigs. Whether it's, like, doing one review a week or whatever, making, like, I don't know, $50, $60, maybe $100 a review. Like, I'm putting myself out there again to try to earn extra money and see it as kind of like a brand deal, right? And he contacts me out of the blue, like, right after Christmas, and he says, hey, man, I'm just letting you know I'm leaving. I was like, what? He says, yeah, I'm leaving IGN. I was like, no way. So, I'm a little bummed by that, but, like, wherever the guy goes, if I want to get back into the game industry, like, I will help put whoever's on the map with my writing again. Like, if it's a really good publication that they focus on just game reviews, like the good and bad about a game, what gamers really think, what gamers want, that kind of stuff, then I'll gladly jump on that ship. Especially if I know the captain is a good guy. But no, I'll probably never work for IGN now because the good people are leaving, and the only people that are going to be left are the people that are literally going to sink the ship like a Titanic. The people that were steering stuff away from the iceberg are leaving, like, slowly but surely. They don't want to be a part of it anymore. And it's sad to see that, because IGN used to be a place for gamers, by gamers, and now it's just a product of corporation. That's the honest-to-God truth. That's the sad thing, is it used to be gamers doing game reviews and, you know, gamers that owned a company that their whole focus was gaming. They would sleep at the office and play games and do write-ups and, you know, everything that you would think behind the scenes of what a game review company would be. And it's just not that way anymore. And it's sad to see that. But here's the thing. We live in a great country where you can start a brand new business, and, you know, if you have those ideals and you have that drive, you can start over again if you have the funding. You know? It's not like if you lose IGN or whatever, you'll never work at a cool company again. You make a cool company. If you've got the money, you've got the talent, you can do it. Because the readership will follow you wherever you go, because the readers are looking for real gaming experiences. They're looking for people that have actual perspective and insight and passion and knowledge when it comes to video games. They don't want to be preached at. They don't really care about all the identity nonsense. They just want good games. And they want to support people that do that. So there's no doubt in my mind that he'll be able to bounce on his feet, you know, if he really is going to leave. Because there's been lots of people at IGN that have left, and, you know, Greg made Kinda Funny, and Kinda Funny worked out really well until Greg threw his employees under the bus, and Greg decided to go woke. Did you know that he threw his best friend under the bus for a joke? He and his best friend made kindafunny.com. He threw him under the bus. It wasn't Greg that made Kinda Funny, it was Greg and the other guy. And then Greg just kind of, you know, speed bumped him. Just like back in the day, like Craig from Screw Attack and, you know, the guy, Handsome Tom. They were best friends. They started Screw Attack. Craig found a way of weaseling, you know, Tom out of the picture. And Tom had to go create Game Heroes. Now, Tom wasn't a saint or anything like that, but it's the same type of thing where two best friends make something, and then the other friend takes the business. Like what Completionist did with his best friend. You know? That's why it's really hard to do the gaming business, because, especially if you do it as two best friends, as they've shown on the internet, some of the best friends end up stabbing each other in the back over business. And I think that's wrong, but, you know, I can't relate to that because I started a business with my wife, and I can't do anything wrong to her because she's my wife. I care about her, I love her, things like that. I'm not even going to try to do that. That'd be wrong. You know, you start something with somebody like your wife, and then you just, like, leave them hanging high and dry. And even though Amber has a job, you know, she still contributes to the Let's Play channel when she can. You know, she still sees the channel as our business, even though she had to, you know, find other means of work, and she had to find other means of work so that we would survive. Based on the siphoning of my income by the U.S. Treasury and, you know, like my medical bills and stuff, I can't support us fully anymore. I supported my wife and I for 18 years. You know, just with our paycheck. 18 years. I can't do that anymore. That breaks my heart, but, you know, I can't. I need help. I need my wife to help with, you know, basic necessities like food and, you know, smaller bills. By the time I pay the big bills, like rent and medical and all that other stuff, I'm broke. I don't have anything to my name. So I need my wifey to help out, or I can't do it. But that's the thing. People don't realize that husband and wife are a team. You know, you combat the forces of evil together. You don't have to tackle life alone when there's two people. You're a unit, you're a group, you're partners, a dynamic duo. Data. 41, start? I don't know. You're having reflux? Have some yogurt. Are you in bed? Are you in bed? Okay, when you come down before you take your BP, take up 2 yogurts and eat those, okay? That'll help with your reflux. That's what I have to do late at night. We still have some yogurt left. The probiotics will help. And then make sure you don't drink any more, like, cranberry juice. Drink, water for the rest of the night. Okay? Okay, well, just the yogurt and the water will help. I know, honey, it's a very irritating sensation. Super irritating. I know, Sweet Pete. Wait, what? You're very encouraging. You're like the biggest cheerleader I have in life. You are my biggest fan? Your syndrome? Your syndrome. That's funny. You're Incredi-Girl? Okay. Oh, come on! Fly home, Amber. I work alone. I work alone at the internet business. Fly home. So, random ADD topic here. Jack Black came out and said that originally he was going to be the guy to play Syndrome. And he said he didn't understand his character and he wanted him changed. And the writer and director of The Incredibles told him he wasn't right for the part. Because he thought that Syndrome's part was stupid. He didn't like it. He wanted them to do some revisions. And the guy's like, no. So thankfully we didn't get Jack Black. Because Jack Black was younger back then. But he would have played it all wrong. He was going to play Syndrome as this dude who just, like, was misunderstood or something. He was evil. Yeah, exactly. So the director told him to pound sand. Well, actually, he told him something else.
Because, like, you know what? I think Syndrome. Well, I'm gonna go upstairs.
How do you don't have a spoon for your yogurt?
I'll get one. But I think Syndrome was perfect for that movie because, like, well, Luke's getting me a spoon, but I'll just say my opinion on Syndrome because I think that is a great movie. Obviously, I think it's one of the best modern superhero movies ever.
It is the best.
But honestly, Syndrome, Incrediboy, who he was originally Incrediboy, right? And then he became Syndrome later.
Yep.
He was it's interesting that Incrediboy is very close to a lot of our former viewers.
Oh, gosh.
Are just like him. Where they were extremely obsessed.
She's talking about the haters.
I'm talking about the haters that have, like, that, that attack us. I'm not talking about people that are watching now or people that are, maybe even people that stopped watching and are like, oh, I don't like watching them anymore. I'm just going to move on. But no, instead of Syndrome moving on, what did he do? He recruited tons of people to his weird private island to try to develop this weird robot just to kill Mr. Incredible.
Oh my
all
gosh.
for him. He was obsessed with Mr. Incredible his entire life.
Wow, Andy.
That's exactly how our haters are. They can't stop thinking about us.
Yeah, that's true.
But, I mean, the thing is, like, there was, like, a certain moment you can see the writing was incredible because, like, there was that certain moment where he was stressed out, Mr. Incredible was stressed out, and he was like, I work alone, fly home, buddy, because he didn't want his fan to get hurt. Like,
Yeah.
Incrediboy was like, I want to be like you, I can help, and he was like, you can't help me. You know, what he was trying to say is, like, you don't have any powers, you're gonna get hurt. He could have said it in a better way, but he didn't say it in a better way because he was busy. Like, that's just how people are when they're working. He was working, so he didn't have time to...
He didn't have time to
explain
be
it
gentle.
in a nicer way.
Yeah.
He was just trying to... I don't know if he was trying to save somebody from dying. I'll have to watch the movie again, but...
Yeah, there was a bomb.
He was literally... He had limited time, so he didn't have time to explain it to him in a nice way. So, because of this, Incrediboy got offended, and because he got offended, then he spent the rest of his life trying to get revenge.
Yes.
But that's not normal. Just because... That just shows, like, two wrongs don't make a right. Just because somebody hurts your feelings doesn't mean you should spend the rest of your life trying to, get revenge on them. That's not normal, like... So it does make sense, like, why... I think that the character he wasn't misunderstood, because just because someone does the wrong thing to you doesn't mean it's like you can't like, even look at a lot of these Batman villains, like, something wrong was done to them, but instead of them just getting over it and just moving on, like, they ended up becoming twisted and weird and becoming supervillains. And that is the supervillain, like, I guess you'd say archetype or whatever. Like, that is the supervillain formula. It's like something is wrong done to them, and then because of that, they become twisted, and then they spend their whole life becoming crazy and becoming a super criminal. But that's the problem, is, like, you can't let somebody who did something wrong to you in your life force you to twist your life around and become a super criminal. Like, your life is more important than that. Like, you should be able to... That's why, for me, like, I mean...
Attention all units, we need everyone on assignment.
I don't know. For me, like, I feel like... I honestly feel like if somebody does something horrible to me and I get away from them, even if I crawl away from them and I was hurt, and I never get revenge on them, and I never get my story told about them, or no one understands what they did to me, or I never get any kind of closure to it, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because at least I got away from the situation, the person isn't hurting me anymore, and now I can move on with my life, and I can start from today. And just start my life over, and start doing, something good with my life. And that's, like, what people should do, instead of you don't need to get revenge on every person who's ever hurt you. Because if you do that, you're going to become Syndrome. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just shows, like, because the character was written correctly. Because I'm sure a lot of criminals that are in prison right now can probably point to somebody who did something to them. And say, like, oh yeah, my uncle never gave me a Christmas gift or whatever, and then they can and then they feel bad about this, and then they're like, and all these people never were kind to me, and so I ended up turning to crime, and now I'm in prison. It's like, okay, all those people did do terrible things to you, but
you still did the terrible
how does it help you to then hurt yourself by then turning to crime?
Yeah.
It is not going to actually help you. It is not going to get back at the person who hurt you to turn to crime. And so that's what Syndrome should have done. He should have just moved on. Like, he should have just stopped wearing the Incrediboy outfit and been like, you know what? Mr. Incredible is a jerk, and I'm moving on. I'm going to go to college. I'm going to get a PhD.
Well, there was more to it than that. So
he should have just moved on with his life.
When he was hanging out with his hero, he didn't realize that he was in danger. So what happened, they were fighting Bon Voyage, and the guy put a bomb on the child. And Mr. Incredible saw the bomb, and, he was like, Buddy was going to go get the police, and, as soon as because, that was the right thing to do, go get the police. But the guy put the bomb on his cape, so Mr. Incredible had to go then and rescue Buddy, because Buddy had a bomb on him.
Oh.
And so Mr. Incredible was mad at Buddy for being there, and he lashed out at him, and it just escalated from there. If he maybe would have been a little gentler, but again, the situation was very dangerous. He was probably trying to be very strict and to put, tell Buddy, I need to, you know, break his infatuation with this because he's going to get himself killed.
Yeah.
So he handled the situation normally, but the child didn't take it well.
I really feel like it's the same it's a similar situation to if you've ever been, and I have been in this situation. Like, I grew up on a street in which there was a lot of traffic, and the ball would always go into the street. And I've had a few times where my parent or whatever would like yell at me, like, "Don't go in there!" Like yelling at me, like, "Do not go in the street!" Like, you know, because the kids they want to go into the street to grab their ball. But sometimes your parent will yell at you, like, "Don't go in there." They don't hate you. They're trying to keep you safe. They're trying to make sure you don't die.
Yeah, don't play in the street.
Because you're about to get hit by a car and die. So they're like telling you, "Don't go in there, don't go in there," and they're mad at you because you're about to get yourself killed.
Mm-hmm.
That's the same kind of energy like that Mr. Incredible was giving off. Like, don't go into the street, you're gonna die. Like upset at him, but trying to save his life. Like, worried about him.
Yeah, but he was trying the longest time to get Buddy to go away, and then Bon Voyage took advantage of that and, you know, almost killed the kid. So there was you know, context to what was going on. But,
yeah,
you know, Buddy took it the wrong way, and then he became a villain that day. You know, it's sad, but I mean, it's supposed to be tragic. You know, he was trying to do the right thing, and he was rejected.
It's like you understand why he became the villain.
Yeah.
But at the same time, even though you understand why, he was still... Syndrome was obviously in the wrong because, you know, like killing, like, you know, hundreds of heroes and spending your whole life trying to murder somebody that spoke to you in a harsh tone 30 years ago is not a normal reaction.
No.
So, like, yeah, Syndrome is the bad guy. There's no misunderstanding.
No.
Like, he is...
Right.
He became evil.
Right.
Yeah.
So the way Jack Black would have played it, it would have been, you know, wouldn't have been the same. So I'm glad we got the guy that we did because, I mean, Syndrome will go down as one of the greatest villains ever because he's an unremorsed villain.
Mm-hmm.
He just is.
He's like, I'm gonna kill these people and I don't care because I'm mad.
I'm mad, exactly.
That's how he is. He's a supervillain.
Yep.
He's like a James Bond. I think he was supposed to be like
I think he was
James
modeled
Bond.
after a James Bond villain.
Yeah, because the over the top way that he did it, where he had a house built on a volcano and all this. He was definitely like a James Bond type villain. Alright, Luke, thank you for the spoon.
Yeah, make sure you take the yogurt stuff and you tackle that. Also, when you lie down, I want you to prop yourself up with pillows so that you're not lying flat. And do you have water to take your BP?
I already took my blood pressure.
Oh, you already did? Okay, yeah, so just, like, sit up and, because don't lie down flat just yet, honey, until your stomach subsides. Yeah, get a water. And I'm sorry you're feeling, not fun.
I don't know what is happening.
Don't know.
I'm gonna take a test.
Yep. So guys, we're just moving right along with these data packs. It's not as stressful as it was yesterday. I don't have a title for this episode either, so feel free. Remember, after we complete all the Arkham Origins data packs, we still have Arkham Knight Riddler stuff to do. We have a lot of Riddler stuff to do. We have less Riddler stuff to do in Arkham Origins than we do Arkham Knight, which is troubling, but there's nothing I can do about it. There's more. There we go. There's your title. Are we almost done? Oh yeah, there's so many more Riddler thingies to get in Arkham Knight. Yes. Yep. Mm-hmm. Well, of course. I mean, look. Let's be honest here, okay, gang? The best logical conclusion for the Warner Brothers, Netflix, and Paramount thing is Paramount. Netflix is bad for business. Netflix doesn't care about Warner Television. It doesn't care about Warner's media. All it wants is Warner Brothers' intellectual properties to do with whatever they want. They want to own Batman. They want to own DC Comics, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, whatever. They don't care about Cartoon Network, TBS, TNT, CNN, Discovery, any of that. They just want $80 billion for the intellectual properties. And I will tell you what happens if that happens. Cartoon Network, that is majority of Warner Brothers cartoons, will no longer have the licenses to air Warner Brothers cartoons. They will have to pay Netflix an insane amount to license every year Warner Brothers cartoons. HBO Max is already getting rid of tons of Warner Brothers cartoons and movies at an alarming rate. Netflix does not want HBO. HBO is not part of the deal. So HBO is not part of the $80 billion. Cartoon Network, HBO, WB Games, all that stuff. It's not really included. So the television companies, they don't care about. They want shorter theatrical releases. 17 days is what they're considering, which that is insane. That's 3 weekends, which it takes a lot longer than 3 weekends for a movie to make money in the theaters. You know, that's going to have devastating results. The logical, sane choice is Paramount because Paramount wants everything. There's only one thing that is making Discovery hesitant, is they want CNN. They probably want CNN to shut it down. But as I've said before, they don't know the ramifications for shutting down CNN because that will slowly kill Fox News too. 24-hour news will disappear, which is being replaced by news on Twitter anyway. Like, there are tons of news agencies on YouTube and Twitter and like lots of independent media that's replacing mainstream media anyway. It would just happen at a much faster rate. But both CNN and Fox News require the vampirism between the two companies to stay in business, since they both, you know, punch down on each other every single day. If CNN is gone, Fox News is going to have no villain. If Fox News disappears, CNN has no villain. They're both going to go out of business. So if Discovery or whatever gave Paramount CNN would go bye-bye, and then 24-hour news most likely would disappear in general, which that would be a good thing, because society survived fine without 24-hour news. We didn't have it in the 90s. We didn't have it in the 80s, really. You know, we were fine. 24-hour news existed in the early 2000s, but it's not until 9/11 that it became like a staple in American homes. We don't need it. We don't. No one should have the news on that long anyway. It's not necessary. So that would be the casualty, if something happens to CNN if Paramount owns it. Big deal. Everything else would be fine. There'd be less. They even said there'd be less restructuring. Netflix says they plan on doing a lot of restructuring. That's bad. So tons of thousands of people will lose their jobs if Netflix, you know, owns Warner Brothers. Also, you know, people have to pay more money to license out WB properties. Like I said, for television and things like that. Some of those companies don't have a very big war chest either, so they'll go out of business just trying to license the shows that they're currently airing. One of the biggest shows on Cartoon Network, whether you like it or not, is Teen Titans Go. Teen Titans Go is a big ratings giant on Cartoon Network for some reason. Now imagine a Cartoon Network who's owned by Warner Brothers if they now had to pay to license out the DC characters for that show. Even in syndication. How long do you think Cartoon Network is going to run Teen Titans Go, which is keeping them afloat? You have to think of it from that perspective. Like, what's going to happen to some of these companies? So Paramount is very important to maintaining the status quo. Movie theaters having long releases, physical media, cable stations, game divisions, comic books, all that stuff. All Netflix wants is the rights to do with DC whatever they want. That's it. That's a bad deal. It's almost like a deal with the devil. Really. Because you're going to have some streaming company that's very, very, very aggressive with its globalization practices is now going to own the rights to Harry Potter, Batman, Superman, everything. And you don't think that's going to be a disaster? I think it'd be a huge disaster. But, you know, they keep saying no to Paramount because they're not very bright. And also, Warner Brothers has more debt than people realize. But the Paramount deal would actually pay off their debt. Like, Warner Brothers is about $38 billion in debt, which is why they wanted such a high offer from both Paramount and Netflix. Netflix's deal is $80 billion. They're about $38 billion in debt, so they'll get a profit of a little bit. Whereas the Paramount deal, they would get a substantial profit. Plus, they would get, like, more shares in Paramount or something like that. Like, Paramount was going to offer a lot of stuff, to my knowledge. So it would have been a better offer, but they're just stamping their feet. And the thing that I saw the other day, they canceled another bid, the eighth attempt, and they want Paramount to give them more money. Which, between you and me, when Discovery bought Warner Brothers, they bought it for $43 billion in 2022. Warner Brothers wasn't worth $43 billion in 2022. They sure as hell are not worth $100 billion right now. So Warner Brothers is being very, very, very sus that Paramount is offering them all this money, but they still want to go with the Netflix deal. It doesn't make any sense. Like, there's something going on behind the scenes. Like, everybody's getting really suspicious now because in bidding wars, the company with the most money wins. That's how a bid works. The company that outbids the other one is the one that wins the bid. Netflix has the lowest bid, and yet they're still winning. It doesn't make any sense. Like, you really have to, like, reevaluate what's going on and be like, there is something really shady going on at Warner Brothers and Netflix that they're not accepting the higher bid. You know? It doesn't make any sense. And I'm not, like, a big business person, you know? I'm just, like, looking at this, like, logically and realistically, that it just, like, for me as a person who's obviously not a billionaire, and I don't even have any stocks and bonds or whatever, like, it's really, 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 really confusing and really sus. It's like, what in the world's going on? You know? Every bid that I've ever seen on a company, like when there's a bidding war, or every auction that I've seen, the person who pays the most money wins. I've seen auctions like Power Rangers. When the Power Ranger suits were being sold, the person who put the first bid up didn't get the stuff. Netflix was one of the first people to put a bid up around the same time as Paramount, and they haven't changed their offer. And yet Paramount comes in and they offer more money. That'd be like selling the Red Ranger suit for $1,000 when it got a bid for like $10,000. It doesn't make any sense. No, the Snyderverse won't come back with Netflix. No. The Snyderverse is not going to come back with Paramount or Netflix. People have to just move on. It's not going to happen. If Paramount owns DC and Warner Brothers, most of the nonsense in comic books will stabilize. Like, right now, comic books is a very, very uneven landscape, okay? There's only one voice that's in comic books today at DC, and it's not middle ground. It's not center-right. It's not even, center-left. It's full-blown far-left propaganda. Like, DC Comics is full-blown that, okay? There's no balance. The movies would taper off to be, like, more aligned with general audience stuff. because Paramount wants to make money. Paramount is the lesser of two evils between Netflix and whatever. They're both Hollywood companies, but Paramount is aware that people want to make money. Netflix is a company that pushes agenda over profits. Netflix loses billions, millions of dollars a year for doing stupid stunts like Cooties and the children's programming that they did that got called out for and had to cancel and things like that. They've been losing money left and right in 2025 and before then. They don't care. The most important thing for Netflix is that they get the message out. That's why they do it in their shows. That's why they do it, all their other stuff. They're one of the biggest streaming sites in the world that pushes that globalization. Okay? They want a bigger scale to do that kind of stuff. Like very backdoor Hollywood stuff. They're not going to restore the Snyderverse. They're not going to make better movies. They're going to limit the window of movies, which is going to hurt Hollywood in the long run, which is funny because streaming sites don't even like theaters anyway. Like, theaters is old dinosaur stuff. Streaming is the future. But the movie industry is still, like, very old school, right? So movie theaters are very important. It's also how actors make a lot of money. Most actors make more money with theatrical stuff than they do streaming things. So actors won't make that much money anymore either. Because streaming companies are not going to fit the bill to pay the actors what a film studio will. Which a lot of these actors that are pro-Netflix, they're not even thinking about this realistically either. Like, the time of actors making millions and hundreds of millions for movies will be over. Because if the films are now exclusively going to digital after 17 days, that means the payout for the film studios and all this other stuff is going to diminish. It's going to start to shrink. Because film studios are the ones that, based on how long the movie is going to be in and all this other stuff is how they decide to pay their actors. So profits are going to go down. Movie theaters will be less. Like, a lot of movie theaters will close eventually too, because how are they going to stay in business? They require people coming in to pay for tickets. If you're limiting the brand new release, think about the big brand new Batman movie in 2027, right? The Batman. Imagine this. Netflix buys the Batman. You have 17 days before spoilers, and then the only other way you can see the movie is if you are on Netflix. And how do you know Netflix is not going to charge you $30 to see the movie? You can't. They pull it out of theaters after 17 days, right? And it's only available on streaming, and they increase the streaming price for you to watch it. How are you going to feel? Just think about that. Logically, how would you feel? Would you be okay with that? Even if they made, Batman as progressive as possible. They made him black, and, they gave him a gay Robin or whatever. But the movie's only going to be available for 17 days, and then you're going to have to pay $30 or $40 to watch it on Netflix as a special Netflix section for Warner Brothers movies. How would you feel? Would you be okay with that? Would you still be championing Netflix? Would you be thinking Paramount was the better option? What? How would you feel? Even though it give you everything you want as a progressive, how would you feel? You got your way. They race swapped Batman, they made Robin flaming gay and all this other stuff, but it's only in theaters for 17 days. It disappears from the theaters, and then you have to pay extra to see it on Netflix. Because it's not included in the regular Netflix price. You have to get the special Netflix Warner Brothers, early access package, which is probably going to be $30 or $40. Would you still be happy? This is just hypothetical, but there's no way that Warner Brothers, or rather Netflix, once they have exclusive rights to something, that they're not going to make you pay more for it. It's not going to be just enough for you to have a subscription. If you're going to see a movie that was just in theaters, you'll have to do what they do on HBO and Cinemax, where you have to pay extra to watch it. I don't remember what the going prices are, but I do remember if you were going to see a movie early after it was in theaters, like on HBO or Cinemax or whatever, you would have to order the movie through cable. Even though you own cable, you had to pay for the movie to watch it. And you think Netflix is not going to do that? That's just naivety. Of course Netflix is going to do that. I would be watching it illegally. They're not going to do that? You think they'll just up the monthly subscription prices even more? Maybe. But after the Netflix deal, they're still going to increase prices. But that's why I'm telling you guys, like, Paramount is basically the one that's going to be business as usual. Who cares if CNN is a casualty? No one cares. CNN's ratings are in the toilet anyway. CNN is one of the lowest ranked news agencies in the world. Did you know that? CNN has the lowest of cable news in the world. They have lower ratings than C-SPAN, Fox, Sky News. They're the lowest performing cable news station in the world. Them disappearing would not be bad. If that's the only casualty to the buyout with Paramount, I'd say so be it. If people don't end up losing their jobs, you don't need CNN. You don't need 24-hour news. You don't need Fox News. You don't need CNN to live your life. You know? People would be a lot happier with both of those companies gone, I'll tell you what. I guarantee it. I bet you $1 million people would be a lot happier with CNN gone. If I had the money, I would bet it. Did I already clear this out? Wow, I did the Coventry. Oh, cool. All right, we're going to Burnley then. Let's go. Burnley. Burnley. Yeah, I mean, you just finished The Court of Owls? The Court of Owls from the New 52? Yeah, The Court of Owls is a great book. Like, the Batman run, aside from the weird continuity, like, you know, smushing the continuity together, like from pre-Flashpoint, where they tried to condense all Batman's storytelling, like previous storytelling. Scott Snyder is an amazing writer. Even though he was in the confines of the New 52, like, his Court of Owls run is chef's kiss. Like, I'm glad you enjoyed it. It's a great graphic novel. It was a good story, and, you know, he added to the Batman mythos in a way that I think was actually very good. Back in the day, I didn't like the New 52 because it condensed all the rich history. But then you realize every time that they do a reboot of Batman, that they get rid of all the rich history. So just like I was saying, like, if I ended up writing Batman comics for like 1 year, I would reboot everything that the previous guys did and, you know, just do my own thing. Establish my own continuity and bring in things from the New 52 and the pre-52 and have that stuff, you know, be referenced. But for the most part, everything that happened on my predecessor's reign would be gone. Alfred would be resurrected. Tim Drake would be back with Stephanie. He'd be retired and he'd be a detective again. And, you know, Dick and Babs would be more serious. Jason Todd wouldn't be dressing like a clown anymore. He'd have a good outfit. Cassandra wouldn't have superpowers. That kind of stuff. Like, you know, every writer, it seems like they had the ability to retcon what came before them. So I would do the same thing. Like, unapologetic. Just clean slate. Because it gives you more freedom to do what you want. And the Court of Owls run is phenomenal. Like, it's really well done. I will give Scott that. It's a good read. And it's fun. And it's, you know, it's a mystery, too. Batman mysteries are always fun. When we get them. When we get Batman mysteries, they're fun. So money well spent, my friend. Where are we? Where? We need to go this way. Hi, Link. I'll be right with you guys. I just need to get on the right track again because I've been going the wrong way. We have to go to Burnley. Oh, wait, we are in Burnley. No, we're not. We're not in Burnley yet. We need to go to Burnley. I have no more riddle things over here. I gotta go to Burnley. Once I'm in Burnley, then I can talk about stuff and look at people's comments and things like that. Alright, I'm getting ready to cross over into Burnley. Now. Alright, we are here. Okay. You think this will be the final stream? No. We're dedicating an entire stream to Cyrus Pickney. We're doing all of Cyrus Pickney. And during that stream, we'll beat up people, and that'll be it. And remember, I said I'm not done covering Batman yet. I have, what is it, 215 riddle thingies left to find in Arkham Knight. We're not anywhere done with... We won't be done with Arkham streams until, like, at least the middle of February... sorry. Until, like, near the middle of January. Like, right around the time that Animal Crossing comes out. That'll be kind of where we're winding down with stuff. Like, I might be done with all the Arkham Knight stuff by then. But Arkham Origins will probably be wrapping up, I don't even know what today is. Probably Saturday, maybe. Depends. Saturday or Sunday, and then Arkham Knight will take its place till we finish Arkham Knight. We have a lot. Yeah, we have a lot to do in Arkham Knight. I don't think people realize how much we have to do in Arkham Knight. People are like, you done with your Batman stuff? It's like, no. No, I'm not. Not yet. If you count Arkham Knight, then no. No. It's one thing to 100% Arkham Origins, but no, we're not. The Switch erased my save file, remember? Or they erased my progress. So I had to go backwards. Or, not, yeah, I did. It sent me back before the Scarecrow Arkham Asylum thing. Like, it sent me right back to where Oracle is sitting in the GCPD. So there's still the Mr. Freeze mission to do. There is 200 riddle thingies left. There is tank combat, checkpoints, like bad guy checkpoints, like soldier checkpoints left. There's at least, there's probably like 15 streams left of Arkham Knight, maybe 10, I don't know. I'm not even at 200 riddles solved yet. See, there you go. See, that shows you right there. I have listened to the Batman volumes on DC Comics' YouTube channel. I was listening to Frank Miller's Batman Year One. DC's YouTube channel has I wouldn't call it ASMR. It has audio tapes. So you can listen to comic books read by actors, and it's really good. I've been listening to Frank Miller Batman Year One, and I've been listening to Robin Year One. Like with Dick Grayson and stuff like that. The actors are really good. I like the format. I wish I would have came up with that format years ago. That's brilliant. You know, kind of missed that opportunity. But I do listen to it. I listen to it when I go to sleep. I watch a little bit of anime on my phone, and I fall asleep listening to a Batman book on tape sometime, especially when I'm really restless and my heart is beating really heavy in my chest, because you know the heart thing. I've been listening to a lot of Batman books on tape. Yes. Of older stories, you know. And it's really, really good. Like, if you ever have time to do that, or you're... Especially, like, I have the internet in my car. Like, if I was driving... Maybe when Amber and I are driving to see my parents in February, like, we're driving to New York, like, maybe we'll listen to a Batman book on tape. That might be kind of fun. Make the time go by pretty fast. It's a 6-hour drive. 6-7 hours. Actually, no, it's 9 hours. That's right, they're New Albany. It'd only be a 4 or 5 hour drive if it was to New York City. They're in Albany, so that's like 9 hours. So yeah, we'll probably listen to one Batman book on tape. Like, at least like 4 hours of it. Because I have the internet in my car, so... Bronze Age? Bronze Age is in 80s. By the time you get to the Frank Miller stuff... Wait, when does the Bronze Age officially end in DC? Does it extend to the 90s? What do they call the 90s? If the Bronze Age is the 70s and 80s, what is the 90s called? I never knew that. What is it called? The Golden Age is 1938-1956. The Silver Age is 1956-1970. The Bronze Age is 1970-1984. The Copper Age is 1985 to 1991. The Modern Age is 1991 present. How does that make sense? I never heard of the 90s called the Copper Age. That can't be right. Really? That's the first I ever heard of that. But they're saying the modern age goes from 1991 all the way to today? That can't be right. I could argue like 2001 to today, sure, that would be the modern age, but 1991 all the way to 2026? I don't think so. That's way too long. That's like 1938 to 1956 or 1956 to 1970. That's a long time. 1991 to 2026. That's a long time. Whereas 84 to 91 is not that long. I've never heard of the Copper Age. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I've never heard it called the Copper Age. I didn't realize the 90s had a slogan. That was just comic books in the 90s. I don't know. Beat me. Got me. I don't know. All my years, I never knew it was called the Copper Age. I didn't even know it was officially called anything. I thought it was just called 90s. Or New Earth. New Earth continuity. Because remember, after 1985, the Crisis on Infinite Earths, everything merges together in quote-unquote New Earth. And then it unmerged in... When did the multiverse officially come back? Did the multiverse come back in 0 Hour, or did it come back in Crisis DC Comics Crisis event? The one with Superboy Prime. Infinite Crisis? I don't remember. I can't remember when I usually follow the Batman books. So when DC was going through all their crises and 0 Hours and stuff, I wasn't really paying attention very well. Because I only bought Batman books. I had a Batman subscription from 1991 until like 2000 and something. I had Batman, Nightwing, and Robin books delivered to my mailbox once a month. It was amazing. I didn't have to go to comic book stores. I didn't have to do anything. I had a subscription to DC Comics for Nightwing, Robin, Batman, and Detective Comics, and they were delivered to my door once a month. I missed that. That's how I had so many comics. People were like, how do you get comics? I had a subscription. I had a subscription to my favorite books. I'd go to an LCS every once in a while, local comic book store, but I had a subscription, like Nintendo Power. It came to me in the mail. It was Infinite Crisis? Okay. Thank you, John. Thank you, everybody. So it was Infinite Crisis. That's the one where Superboy died, right? Where Connor died? They were going to kill Nightwing in Infinite Crisis. They killed Connor instead. And they made you think Nightwing was going to die because he got shot by lasers or something, like super lasers. And then they had the whole 1 year later thing, and they retconned Barbara and Dick being engaged, because he got engaged to her before he went off to war. And then he got zapped with lasers, and he ended up in recovery. He lived, but he was supposed to die. Like, Dan Didio tried to kill him. That's when me and Dido started to become enemies, as he tried to kill Dick Grayson. And they killed Connor instead, which I still think Connor's death had more weight than Nightwing dying. Connor was like the new, like, character that everybody loved. Everybody in the DC Universe loved Connor. So his death had, like, major weight. It was like a big deal. And he basically died fighting Superboy. Like, evil Superboy. Very intense fight, by the way. We've never got a movie of that. That's a crazy thing. I thought we would have gotten an animated movie about that by now. Like, that was a really, really interesting series. That was a great run, Crisis. I still have Crisis. Crisis on Infinite Earths. I have a graphic novel of it. And I have a few paperbacks of it. Like, when it originally released, like, as, like, you know, regular things. Regular paperback. Yeah, but Connor was beloved by so many people. That hurt. And Superboy Prime didn't think he did anything wrong when he was, like, killing Titans members left and right. Like, the most I've ever seen a Titans character die off was fighting Superboy Prime. He was just, like, going through the Titans like they're nothing but sideline characters. He killed, like, so many Titans from the 80s and 70s and early 90s. He's just going through people like a lawnmower through grass. That's how strong Superboy Prime was. He was just mowing everybody down. Connor was the only one who could stand up to him. And Connor wasn't strong enough. Because he was a clone of Superboy. But his death, man, that had weight. That had significant weight. I'm not ashamed to admit this. When Superboy died, I cried. I felt so bad for Tim and Cassie. And the aftermath of his death, man. What it did to Tim and Cassie, you know? I remember a lot of people, like, saying they were totally okay with Tim and Cassie hooking up. But I thought it was wrong. I think Robin and Batgirl, or excuse me, I think Robin and Steph were broken up at that point. Or maybe, was Stephanie dead? Was Stephanie presumed dead when Tim got together with Cassie? Was that after War Games? I mean, next short should be my comic book collection. My comic book collection is in a chest that's in a storage locker. I don't have it in the house. The comic books are in our storage locker. They would get water damaged. Okay, so Tim got with Stephanie, or Tim got with Cassie because he was mourning the death of Stephanie and Connor. So Tim was really in a bad place, like mentally. He was completely alone. Cassie was alone, and he probably figured it would be best for them to be a couple. Or something like that. Now, how long after Connor died did Stephanie come back, though? Because, I mean, Tim was pretty broken. Like, Tim was becoming very much like Bruce when Stephanie died. He blamed Bruce, too, didn't he? Wasn't Tim kind of estranged when Stephanie died? Didn't he blame Bruce, kind of? I can't really remember War Games very much. I don't like how they went about War Games because they tortured Stephanie and stuff like that. Like, I didn't like them torturing Stephanie like that. I thought that was a bit extreme. I get it, it's a bad guy, and that's what they would do to a girl, but maybe they could have censored it a little bit, you know? They didn't need to be very, like... I understand it's a villain, and a villain's going to do bad things to women and torture them and stuff like that, but I think that maybe they should have alluded to the torture instead of, like, outright, like, showing some of the stuff they did. It's always... I don't really reread war games very much. That's just me. I mean, you know, everybody's entitled to their whatever. But I didn't like how they handled some of that. I don't remember. Well, I mean, Tim wasn't Robin anymore. Like, Tim was... Stephanie was Robin. And that's how... Wait, did she get... Hang on. Did she get captured as Robin or captured as Spoiler? Was that after he came back as Robin? I can't remember. She wasn't Robin for very long. She was Robin for like half a year. 8 months, I think. She wasn't Robin very long at all. I want to say that she was captured when she was back under her Spoiler identity. I think. Yeah, I was Spoiler. Okay, yeah. It was like right after she became Spoiler again or something. Oh, that's easy. Ha! Da 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 dun 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 da da. Okay. Alrighty. Do I have time to read your super chat? I'm sorry, Daffy. I didn't even know there was a super chat. That's my mistake. Sorry about that. Let me get my glasses. So I had a hater making fun of the fact that I have bad eyesight. That's funny. And they said, I'm not a hater. I just criticize you for stupid takes. It's like, that is a hater. Do you remember the Christmas special of TMNT 1987? Batman 92, X-Men 92, the Smurfs. I mean, there used to be Christmas specials all the time. The Batman Christmas special was Christmas with the Joker. The Turtles Christmas special? No, I don't remember. The X-Men I do. It was a Christmas with the Warlocks. The Smurfs had several Christmas episodes. Garfield had tons of Christmas movies. Darkwing Duck had one Christmas episode. But I will tell you this, Daffy. Cartoons in the United States used to make an emphasis on having a Christmas episode. You would have a Halloween episode and you would have a Christmas episode. And sometimes you'd have a New Year's episode, but not usually. It was Christmas and it was Halloween. And summer vacation. That was important to show because national holidays were important, especially Christmas and, you know, Thanksgiving and things like that. That's why you would see, if you go back to the 90s and the 80s and the 70s and you watch different shows, every single show had a Christmas episode. Every show had a Thanksgiving episode. Not every season had a Christmas episode. Some shows like Friends had multiple Christmas episodes like every other season because Friends was on a long time. Same with Frasier. Things like that. You would only need like 1 or 2 Christmas episodes for syndication. He-Man had a Christmas movie. G.I. Joe had Christmas episodes. Thundercats, I don't know if it had a Christmas episode. It might have. I don't know. Most of them did. Anime especially has a Christmas episode. Like, most anime will have at least one Christmas episode. If it has 26 episodes or 12 episodes. Or that if they didn't have a Christmas episode in the first season and they're lucky enough to get a second season, 9 times out of 10 there'll be a Christmas episode from that anime. Because every anime has to have a Christmas episode. Why? Because majority of the world celebrates Christmas. It's just something that anime characters will do. Unless they're whisked away to another world. Then they celebrate like another thing. Remnant Star had a question. K-Wing, for streaming, yeah, you have things going for YouTube, but have you thought about your streaming sites like Twitch and Kick and other things? I've already talked about this in the past, and I will gladly tell you, Remnant, because you gave the super chat. Thank you very much. And I missed the super chat Skeletor thing, so let's do what Amber usually does. What does Amber do? Ah, here it is. 1 second, guys. I'm really bad at this. Tokyo donation! Tokyo donation has left the station. Tokyo donation. Everybody remember that Sentai show? Okay. Why do I not stream on Twitch and Kick and other things? Because YouTube has a failsafe in place that they have been developing for denial service attacks, thanks to my input, that does not cancel your stream outright. Kick, Twitch, Rumble, if you DDoS on those sites, they will cut your feed and they will say that your stream is not, not good enough for the streaming output or whatever. YouTube has things in place that will give you a while to correct your stream before they terminate you. That's their way of combating like a lot of cyber attacks that have been happening since 2020. Some of that is based on my input and based on my internet speeds and data charts that I've given YouTube and Google. Because I've been one of the biggest YouTubers that has suffered hundreds and hundreds of, security breaches with like cyber attacks and denial of service attacks and things like that. So my input for that kind of stuff has been very important for streaming. And YouTube has been using that in their streaming codec. So YouTube is one of the only sites that I know of that takes cyber attacks seriously. And they have things in place to help, combat somebody trying to terminate your stream. Because the reason why people go and they spend thousands of dollars to knock you off your high horse is so that they can ruin your stream. So that they can make it so that you can't live stream. So they take away, a portion of your income. That's what activists and hackers and woke people do. Is it's a form of like basically silencing your opposition. You remove their ability to speak. And since my opposition knows I can't do uploads because people can't get them, live streaming is the only way for me to make a living. So they spent a lot of money trying to basically dethrone me because they don't like me. That's pretty much all it was. But YouTube, the one good thing that they did is they took me seriously. They took my data, and they found ways of, making sure their codec, for the most part, can survive very intense, like, denial of service attacks, like flooding the thing. That's thanks to my input. So you're welcome. If you're a streamer and your stream has survived a denial of service attack, you're welcome. I did that. But I've tried to work with other companies and stuff like that, they don't have any fail-safes in place. So if something happens and your stream gets like thousands of dropped frames, your stream's going to be terminated outright. And I've tried to stream on Twitch over the years. Like every time I try to turn on Twitch, it gets shut off. Like within 5 minutes, Twitch like cuts my feed. It just got to the point where I can't do it. And the more you get your feed cut, too, the angrier the streaming service that you're using gets. So, like Kick and YouTube, or not Kick, Twitch and Rumble and some other places, they don't have those things. Like, that's the only reason I stay with YouTube. I don't like YouTube for a lot of things, but I appreciate, how they are with cybersecurity and things like that. And how they at least try to make streaming available for everybody. So I respect that, but that's as far as the respect goes, because I still blame YouTube for a lot of things, which I've been very vocal about over the past, 6 years. But I will give them that they at least try to help with that kind of stuff. It may not always be like that, or maybe it will always be like that. I don't know. And yes, we are coming a long way with the Riddler stuff. You are correct. We have done a lot. Why can't they leave me alone? Because they want me dead in a ditch. I was talking to a hater the other day, just asking them nonchalant, and I said, why do you hate me so much? They said, because you're a bigot. It's like, so you hate me because I'm a Christian? And they said, yes. I was like, okay. You know? So because I'm a Christian and because I'm a gamer, I'm not allowed to exist. Because I don't agree with everything that they want me to agree with, I'm not allowed to make money. I'm not allowed to be in their, you know, they say that we gatekeep as like, you know, Gamergate or whatever, but they gatekeep in a sense where people who agree differently than them aren't allowed to live. Case in point with Charlie Kirk. That is a clear indication of where they, you know, they are. If you have a different opinion than them, then you deserve death. That's what they are saying. That's why I have a problem with that cult. The cult of woke is because they're not someone you can negotiate with. You can't get along with them. You can't coexist with them because they're not willing to coexist with you. You know, with the freedom of sharing ideas and having like different opinions and stuff like that, they're Nazis. You can't ever get along with them. You cannot coexist with them because they don't want to even put in the effort of trying to meet you halfway. I have lots of friends who are Democrats. I have friends who are Libertarians. I have friends who are Republicans. And I will tell you this, we don't agree on everything. But we do come to a line in the sand where we're still friends. And we agree to disagree on some things. And we try not to bring up certain topics that we have a contrary opinion to. But we're still friends. We still talk. We still have similar hobbies, anime, Batman. Some are Marvel fans. Some are fans of Lord of the Rings. Some are fans of Star Trek. You know, we try to meet each other halfway. We're never going to get along completely. That's what woke people don't understand, is you will never, ever get along with somebody fully in this lifetime. You can create as many echo chambers as you want, right? And try to make it so that everybody in your group agrees exactly as you do. But as we've seen on the internet, if you are a part of that social group and you disagree with one thing with woke people, what do? Do they accept what you said? No. They chase you out of town on a rail. Why? Because now you said something that's contrary to one of their beliefs. If you're woke, you have to be all in. Everything they believe, you have to believe too. If you do not, then you're out of the club. And eventually, which we're seeing now on the internet, is some people start to have uncomfortable feelings with some of the things that's happening with that group. And they, you know, they can't be a part of that. And then those same people that quote-unquote were their friends harass them, get them to cancel their Twitter. They can't accept that somebody has a difference of opinion than them. That's why it's basically like what happens with the Borg. The Borg, from Star Trek, assimilates everything. You have to believe everything that the Borg believes once you're assimilated. There is no free thought, there's no freedom, there's no nothing. You have to do whatever they do. Whether it's right or wrong, it doesn't matter. You have to do everything that they believe. You have to be okay with arson. You have to be okay with abortion. You have to be okay with giving drugs to children. You have to be okay with sleeping with animals. You have to be okay with dressing as an animal. You have to be okay with, you know, assassinating people you don't believe in. You cannot pick and choose if you're going to be woke. You have to accept everything. Okay? If they find out that you have done something that is contrary to their beliefs, you're out. And then they're coming after you. It's that simple. There is no other internet group in the world that is crazy as that group. They don't exist. That group is the most dangerous, volatile, and insane group on the internet that has ever existed. Crazier than Sonic fans. You know? And Sonic fans are pretty toxic. I kid, but you know what I mean. Like, before on the internet, we only had to deal with Sonic fan base being weird. And then this group came up, like, right around the time of Gamergate. Like, the anti-Gamergate was where the woke people began. So, But yeah, that's... And I've seen this happen in real time, too. I've seen people that were super, 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 you know, activism, and they said one thing that was contrary to what would normally be accepted, and they got harassed by their so-called friends. And they'd been, you know, part of Antifa, and they did all this other stuff. They were, you know, one of the guys, or one of whatever. And they said something, like, when it came to children, and this group, like, jumped down their throat. And the funny thing is, what they said about children was correct. You know, don't do this to kids. That's all they said. And then the people are calling bloody murder, and how dare you do this, and how dare you hurt this group, and blah, blah, blah. All they said is, don't hurt kids. Leave kids alone. That's it. Don't give kids drugs. Don't change their DNA. Don't do this. Don't do that. That's harmful. That's all they said. And the woke crowd was like, death to this person. This person is, you know... They were never one of us, blah, 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 blah. That's all it takes, is just one thing. Whereas every other group, if you think about it, you can disagree with any other group. To some extent. And they won't, like, kick you out like a leper. That group will get rid of you because they can't have people with independent thought in their group. You're not allowed. You have to keep those thoughts to yourself. And that's how Marxists are, though. Like, you have to agree with everything. You know, communism, Marxism, you have to agree with everything or you're not that. You know, I prefer to agree with what I agree with, and I don't care what other people think. You know, I do my own research. I vote for who I want to vote for. People still think I voted for Trump. And, like, the last president I voted for was Obama. You know? The very first time that he was in office, I voted for him. Because I thought it'd be cool to have a black president, too. But people say I'm racist, you know? So, I mean, you know, whatever. I've not voted in the last 3 presidential elections, though. I don't believe. Has there been 3? Hillary... I don't remember who... I only voted for Obama once. So I think I haven't voted for 3 presidential elections. Like, seriously. I've done write-ins. I did a write-in for The Rock in one election. And I did a write-in for Chuck Norris or some other celebrity as a joke. Because all the politicians running was a joke. So I figured, why not? But I didn't vote in the last election. My neuropathy was so bad I didn't want to leave the house. And I didn't do a mail-in vote. So, because I honestly believed a mail-in vote, somebody would change my vote anyway, you know, and say that I voted for somebody I didn't. So I didn't do mail-in voting. So I didn't go. But, you know, I can't change the internet's opinion with me. I don't really care. You know, screw them. But at the end of the day, when it comes to stuff, I do my own research. I decide where I'm going to go, what I'm going to do. I don't see myself as a part of any groups. I see myself as part of the group of free thinkers. Whatever that group is, you know, I'm cool to be a part of that group. Because I don't believe everything that anti-woke believes. I sure as hell don't believe anything that woke people believe. Especially when it contradicts science and rational thinking. I can't. Because I would have to be a denier of reality, and I can't do that. You know? So, I mean, I'm like Captain Picard. The world tells me to see different things, and I see what's really there. And refuse, even under the threat of torture and death and, you know, harassment and all this other stuff, I still hold to my convictions. I will never change. They can try to, but I will never change. I will never move. I'm an immovable object. I've been swatted twice. I've suffered hundreds and hundreds of cyber attacks, cyber terrorism. I'm still here, and I still believe the same stuff. And they have tried to kill me. Twice. And I'm a nobody, too. That's the thing. I hold no power. They still don't want me to exist. That tells you a lot right there. In the COG, the grand scheme of things, my audience reach is very small. My Twitter is very small. There's a select group of haters that hate me so much they want me gone from this world. Because they think I'm dangerous. You can write Steve Rogers. You can write whoever you want. It's supposed to be whoever you think is best for president. You vote for them. At one point, I thought The Rock would make a great president. Reagan and Schwarzenegger made great politicians. So why not? Who says an actor can't be president? They're all actors anyway. I mean, they have most of America fooled, right? But that's a story for another day. But yeah, I believe in, like, people live in an age of information. You can look up anything you want whenever you want to. You can research things. You don't have to go in blind and be misinformed. You can type anything and the internet tells you what's going on, just the facts. You don't have to follow a group like a bunch of lemmings off a cliff, you know? That's not my style. Chuck Norris is too old. It doesn't matter that the dude looks like, you know, he's like in his 50s. The guy's like 80 plus. There's no way Chuck Norris is going to make it to 100. Or maybe Chuck Norris was replaced with a robot. No way somebody in their 80s looks that young. And he is 80 something years old. You know, because when I was a kid, he was like 40 plus or 50 doing action movies in the 80s. You know, he's old. And have you guys seen a recent picture of him? Like, he looks amazing for, like, what is he, 86? 84? I mean, you can vote for Optimus Prime if you want. I mean, it doesn't matter. Nobody is supposed to know who you vote for anyway. That's private information. You can't have somebody follow you in the booth and be like, who are you voting for? Did you vote for this candidate? You tell them none of your damn business. That's what you say. You turn around. If somebody pesters you in line, you look them straight in the eye, and you cuss them out. And you say, mind your own business. That's between me and that voting thing. You're not supposed to know. It's supposed to be a private thing. You decided who you voted for. You didn't vote for people based on what group you're a part of. Are you part of a sports team that you cheer for the same team and you vote based on whether it's red or blue? Or do you vote based on what the politicians actually believe? Always look at the voting record, number one. Look at what the people say online, because all of them have social media, number two. And then based on what they say, look at what they voted for. Because they're going to fool you in their words. That's what they do. Politicians are snakes and lies. Snakes that tell lies. Both parties. You need to look at the voting record of what they actually did as opposed to what they said. You'll thank me for that later on in your life. Politicians are all liars. They're all millionaires and they're liars. Democrat or Republican. So, you as a U.S. citizen have access to their voting records, so check your constituents. Check the people who are in your state. Check the people who are your representatives. And don't pay attention to the smoke and mirrors of their Twitter. Or when they do, you know, news things. See what they actually voted for. Where did their vote go on the issue that you care about? And then you'll know. Then vote for the guy who voted for that next election. That's how you do it. You're welcome. Anyway, that's the video. We're going to do Fire Emblem. Fire Emblem, I'm going to be doing voices and stuff, so don't expect a lot of, like, interaction with the chat, because I will be doing voiceover for the characters and really getting into it, and probably getting my ass kicked quite a bit, because Path of Radiance is a very, 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 very difficult game. Although the Wii game is much harder. The Wii game that came after Path of Radiance is insanely difficult. It was one of the last very challenging Fire Emblem games to ever release. And there's a reason for that. And then after that, the Fire Emblem games, you can quote me on this. After the Wii Fire Emblem game, Fire Emblem games got easier. They're very, very difficult. GameCube through Wii. And then after Wii, they start to go down in difficulty curve. It's not like immediate, like, you know, but they started to go down. They started to get a little bit easier. Like Radiance and the other game, I don't even remember what the other game was. The one on Wii. It's like super rare, I own it. But that game is incredibly hard. Luke has really gotten vulgar. Sorry about that, Blues Cat. I do swear more now, yeah. I do. Sorry about that. It's something I'm working on, but I can't shut it off very much. Especially when it comes to, like, real-world stuff, I get really angry. So, it's an outlet for me now, as opposed to me getting heart attacks, you know? I have all this, like, anger and aggression that I have to get out sometimes. Before, I just used to keep it bottled in. I don't keep stuff bottled in as much anymore. Like, I let haters have it, and I do all kinds of stuff. I'm not the same person I was, like, a while ago. That person's gone.
I must say, Master Bruce, I have a good feeling about this James Gordon fellow.
So do I. We may not see eye to eye on everything.
Yeah.
An honest man who wants to make Gotham safe. He can even handle himself in a fight.
Do you think you'll work more with him in the future, then?
We'll see. I don't think he's a big fan of my methods.
But surely he appreciates the results, no?
Alfred, words of wisdom. Okay. We're done. You regret selling the Wii version of Fire Emblem? Yeah, that game's worth some serious dough. And also, you'll never be able to afford it again. Once you sell that game, that's it. You'll never get it again. You think that's bad? I had the Wizard of Oz game on DS that a developer gave me. I never had to pay for it. I traded it in years ago. I don't remember why I did this. I traded it in for something. Some type of game. And that Wizard of Oz DS game today is worth $600. It was given to me by the developer. It was shrink wrapped. And I gave it to GameStop and got like $30 for it. Oh, that was stupid. And now if you try to buy that game back, it's like $600. Yeah. It's like graphically one of the best looking games on Nintendo DS ever made. And it's actually a pretty cool Wizard of Oz like contemporary steampunk game too. I think it was an RPG. But I traded it in. Emotional damage. Oh, yeah. Oh, well. I mean, that happens. Am I going to stop streaming after 2030 completely? No, I'm just going to take a break. I won't have to work as hard. I told you I have to work a certain amount to earn the money that is taken from the U.S. Treasury. When the U.S. Treasury is done taking money from me according to the agreement, which I have with the judge and the IRS and my lawyer, it's 2030. And when I called the IRS last year, they said 2030 is when my back payments will be done. So, and I recorded that conversation, by the way. So I have an IRS representative on the phone saying 2030, and I recorded that. So not only do I have it in writing, in a contract, but I also have it verbally. Because I do not trust them. But there you go. So 2030, I'm going to take a break. Probably take a month off. Maybe. I don't know. Or maybe I'll only take a week off. I don't know. I like to stream. But I won't have to push myself as much. Oh, I don't trust anybody. Friend, foe. Nope. I've been burned too much in this life. I don't trust anyone. Except for my wife. Except when she was learning how to cook. I thought she was trying to poison me. Because I did get sick a lot. But that's just because she was a bad cook when we first got married. She's a chef now. But before... let's use whatever ingredient we have in the house. No! Okay, anyway, it's Fire Emblem time. Thank you guys so much. Batman will continue tomorrow. 2 Batman episodes, Feyland, and next is Fire Emblem, which is a game that no one saw coming tonight. And it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to do a lot of voices. I need to get something to drink. I need some water because I'm going to have to do a lot of voice acting because it's not voice acted. I will be doing the voice acting. Yep, you guys are amazing. Thanks so much for hanging out. And we have more Riddler stuff tomorrow. We're not done with that yet. So, more data packs tomorrow. All kinds of fun stuff. See you guys on Fire Emblem coming up next.